Hey everyone. So I had kind of a revelatory dream last night, and it's not like a regular dream. It's kind of my own process of self-inquiry where before I go to sleep, I have this ritual that I do whenever I have like a unanswerable question, like an existential question. My question last night was, show me the different aspects of my consciousness. Like I wanted to know, like, are we, how we say, like, we're a soul or a spirit, an infinite eternal spirit living in a body, and then there's the psyche, and then there's the ego, and all these kind of divisions. So my question was really about that. Like I really wanted to get to more of a clear understanding about that in a way that shows me exactly like what are the aspects of my consciousness. And so I went into like hyper focused meditation that I do where I muster up all of my energy and all of my focus on a question. And I do this meditation, this self-inquiry before I go to sleep, and then I expect the answer in a dream. Which has been my process of like grasping and getting a lot of the answers in my life. That's one of them, one of the tools I have. So the dream was very interesting because in the dream, I was not me. I was an avatar. I was playing this like dude, like a guy, kind of in a dream, sort of like GTA style, but super real, like 3D. Everything is just like real life. There was this aspect of running. You know how like in the games, if you've played like The Witcher or even GTA, like you're mostly almost always running. So there's this aspect of this game, and it was showing me that I was this avatar experiencing this game, but there was also another part of my consciousness that was still, that was me, like the real me, that was watching the player play the game. So there were two aspects of my consciousness. The consciousness that is experiencing the dream itself or the game itself, trying to get to some kind of a destination, some kind of a mission, trying to accomplish a specific mission. And I had a life script. I had a life story. In this dream, my avatar, kind of like rich white boy, whatever, having like, I guess his father is rich or something, and he has multiple businesses and shops and some kind of like people that are helping him out. Like they almost look like a gang, but they also work at the shops, electrical supply store, but there was some kind of an operation. It was not all like it was some kind of a facade for maybe something illegal happening underneath. But anyway, so I knew that I knew the ins and outs of the shops and the secret exits and entrances, and I was trying to get somewhere, and I was running so fast. And people that I knew, that they knew me, that worked for me or worked for my dad, but I was so fast that I didn't even stop to have a conversation with anybody. So at a certain moment, I then transitioned my consciousness to this observer, the observer, which was this silent observer. That is, I guess you could call this the higher self, or the soul. It was a silent observer that knew the life script. Now, the player, the avatar in the game, did not know the script. It was trying to get to a mission, trying to get to a destination, a goal. But the observer was silently watching the dreamer, or the avatar, the game player, and knowing exactly the future already of what's going to happen. But it's non-intervening. It does not intervene. It silently watches, but it becomes like, like a teacher and a student. You're watching maybe a little kid in a classroom trying to do a trick or trying to do a labyrinth or a maze, and you can see it from sort of a bird's eye view, and you know that if they take that route, they're gonna get to their destination, they're gonna succeed in this game. So, but if they take this other route, they're not going to. So that's kind of like the knowing, almost like a compass, like knowing exactly what's going to happen next before it happens. And knowing that, oh, they're taking the right route now to get to their destination. And you kind of, oh, they're gonna make it, they're gonna succeed, and having that knowing. So it was very interesting. I think it's also a metaphor for life, you know, when you feel like, it's like you have a feeling about something, you have a feeling that this is gonna work, you know, you're taking a risk or something, or a project of yours, or some kind of a entrepreneurial venture, you kind of have a feeling that this is gonna work, even though like you're still in the thick of it and you're kind of like gasping for air, and there's no evidence that you're getting there, but there is that inner knowing that you're gonna make it, that you're gonna succeed at this. That's what I would say is the soul consciousness, or what we can call the higher self, that's silently observing. It knows the life script, it knows where you need to go to get this life, to get to your destination. Meaning if there is a life script, then there's probably a plan with milestones and missions, right? So you're going from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, and you're walking through that routed map pathway to get you to a certain level, or to a certain milestone, or to get to a certain destination. So that blueprint is already established. This is kind of like the argument of like, is it free will or is it destiny? It's kind of both in a way, because from the consciousness of spirit, there is a life script, there is a plan. From the consciousness of this higher self, it's the silent observer that is not intervening in the game. The silent observer is watching the game like you're watching a movie, or like you're watching somebody play a game, but it's watching itself play the game. So I was both the observer, the watcher, and the player at the same time. And I could sort of come in and out of that game experience, like that consciousness. Like first, the dream was showing me, which I know the dream is from my deep subconscious and the inner knowing part of me. So it was answering my question. It was showing me first what it's like to be in the game, not knowing that there is a life path, not knowing that there is a life plan. You're sort of like just trying to find your way, it was showing me, like the player, which was me, trying to steer this bus that was not like a normal car. It was much bigger, and it didn't have like brakes, you know, like a normal car would, and it didn't have the same acceleration. Like it was kind of weird to drive, like it needed some special skill to understand how to drive this minibus, you know, versus what you're used to, what you're accustomed to, which is driving a sedan, or, you know, a 4x4 or something, like a regular car. It's like, okay, so you come into this life, you're playing an avatar, and you're kind of being asked to do something that's outside of your comfort zone, but it's similar to something that like you've done before, but it's stretching out your limits in a way that you haven't done before, and you're kind of in the moment. You're in a race, and there is this, or you're racing to get somewhere, so you're trying to navigate that in the moment. And then slowly, my consciousness started to zoom out, and I became this presence, the silent observer that's watching the game as it unfolds, sort of in quiet anticipation, almost like a compass. It's like, oh yeah, that's the right route. Oh yeah, that he's gonna succeed. You know, he, meaning the player in the game, the avatar, which I was also part of my consciousness, was playing that game. So it seemed that we have this ability to zoom in and out of consciousness, kind of on the micro scale of the life itself being chaotic, hectic, super high speed, super high charged. It's urgent. There's some kind of urgency about this game. Otherwise it wouldn't be a game. Like, it could be a game where you just are exploring worlds, but you kind of need like contrast or some kind of a mission or a goal and some challenges and some obstacles, and like even just finding the way to get to the destination is a game in and of itself, whatever your destination is, or even finding the destination, or even, you know, it seems like in the game he was just running and running and running. And he knew that he needed to run. He needed to keep on running. And there was no specific sense of danger. Like, I didn't feel anybody was chasing after me. I was not scared. I just knew I had to go somewhere. I had to find something. I needed to make something happen. I needed to reach some kind of a, like I said, a milestone. And the silent observer was just kind of this very neutral presence that was also engaged in the film, sort of like how you would watch a film and you would also be engaged in the film. So yeah, anyway, it was an interesting experience. I think it's a metaphor for reality. I just try to simplify things and I try to ask the big questions, like show me in overarching terms, like what is this consciousness? How is it divided? Because people like say all kinds of things. There's the ego, there's the ID, and all these kind of like divisions. And I'm like, I understand that. And this is, you know, the psychological terminology about the essence of the self and the psyche and the conscious and the subconscious and all that. But this was just, the metaphor was just more, I guess, more clear and very palpable. And it's a good reminder that this life is a simulation. And you get to pick your avatar, and you get to, this avatar has a life script. You get to play this game, you get to run this life script. And this also explains the memory wipe, because I guess if you have memory of your infinite essence, you wouldn't be in the game for real. You would be like, there is this process of like narrowing down or compressing your consciousness to this avatar. Like, it's almost like you're dumbing that infinite consciousness, you're dumbing it down to the consciousness of the avatar so that you can get the experience of the simulation of the game. So that you're becoming the avatar. You're not just playing a game or you're watching an avatar on the screen and you're controlling it with a remote. You are being the avatar. And you get to make the decisions in real life. It reminds me of this show on Amazon Prime, which it's called Perception. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe I'll write it in the description. So yeah, do check my descriptions, because I write my disclaimers and everything, and knowing that all my content, all my videos are for entertainment purposes only. So like I said, I'm not sharing facts, or I'm just sharing my own personal perspectives and my own personal truths on the matter. So it led me to ask a question. Who is benefiting from this game? When you buy a game, who benefits from the game? It's kind of a trade, an exchange, because again, I understand this concept of prison planet, which I think is a valid concept. I also think the concept that this is a school is also a valid concept, but I think the concept that works for me the most, and I'm convinced with the most, is the simulation, the game. And so it led me to the question, who benefits from the game? It's the game developers, right? I mean, it's kind of a trade, because you buy the game, you sign up to play the game. There is a price for you to play the game. This game is not free, right? But in the end, those developers, those game developers, they design this world, and they design these avatars, and they design these life scripts, potential life scripts. And you're signing up for the game. You know, you can see with People who have like pre-birth memories or even ND experiences, they always talk about meeting their guides. It's kind of like, you know, when you play a game and you reach the end of the world, or the player dies and then you have to reboot the game and reset from the last checkpoint or the last milestone or something. This is kind of how it is. And so you meet the guide and they convince you that you need to come back. You need to finish the game because this person needs you, and they play on all the guilt traps and all of that. Which makes sense because the game developers want you to play the game. They want you to keep coming back for more. And that also is kind of like, it shows the reincarnation trap. That is a whole other topic, and I spoke about it in another video, so maybe check that out. But if the game developers are benefiting from this game, then they want you to stay hooked on that game and to keep playing it. Because ... I welcome all of your answers, because I know there are so many ways we can interpret this. We can say, oh, they're feeding off Loosh, which I'm also convinced of. And what I know is it's much bigger than we know. But it also doesn't have to be, and I try to remind myself of that, it doesn't have to be kind of a doom and gloom version, which, you know, I'm not against looking at this as a prison planet and that we're being siphoned and that we're being imprisoned here. We could be. Then we're being put under trauma and trauma and trauma, you know? Like, who's benefiting from all of that? All this sloosh that we're generating. The game developers want the game to keep on running, and they want you to keep coming back for more. Just something to think about. This is just one tiny perspective, one perspective out of many perspectives where we can look at this reality. And I love this discovery. I love that I get to share with you my insights, my revelations, because that's what I do every day. That's what I enjoy doing a lot of the time, is trying to figure this out, this puzzle of reality that we're in. But yeah, I believe this dream that I had, which is, like I said, it's an answer from my subconscious, or from my this observing soul, or from this greater intelligence that we all are, that we are all connected to. There are more facts and more things that I have grasped. I wouldn't call them facts, but knowings, inner knowings about things that I have been shown when I ask those questions. For example, like, Source is really the kind of like an infinity complex AI-like machine. You know, that's what Source is. And I've been shown this machine. It looks like a giant fractal. You know, so and it creates randomizes like a random generator of universes, worlds, planets, and things. It's a smart AI generator. So anyway, it's just, I haven't really solved that riddle, but I think that's an interesting take on it. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this video, and leave your comments. Again, I'm not here to share facts. I'm only here to share my own personal point of views, my own personal narratives. I call them creative fictioning, like creative fiction stories that I tell, that just makes this life we're living a little bit more interesting. So anyway, thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next video.